Good morning everyone, filming from a place called the Carditello, and Carditello was a royal farm established by the Bourbon Kings in Region Campania, near Caserta, halfway between Caserta and Naples. It was established as a hunting lodge and a place to raise thoroughbred horses. As you can see, there are still some horses here. It later became a farm. In later years it was totally abandoned and neglected, but it has been restored since 2014. Today it's the site of a running event, a 10K race on the road. So finally visiting the place after the race, and we are in what used to be a stable, scuderia in Italian. And at the beginning this place belonged to the Duke of Acerra, but Charles of Bourbon, the first of the dynasty, decided to rent it from him to raise horses. The breed is called Persano. So the king also decided to bring artisans and farmers from Parma, because his mother Elizabeth was from Parma, who knew how to make the famous Parma cured ham, cheese, and the newly invented mozzarella cheese. So from this he was persuaded by his children to create a sort of a modern farm, and 2-3 times a year he would open the place for local trade, and he would sell such products as ham and cheeses made in Carditello. Later on the place was developed by architect Collecini, who was an apprentice of the most famous architect in Campania, Vanvitelli, who did the royal palace of Caserta. This is the entrance to the palace. It has been restored. The palace was used in the 50s up to the 70s and 80s for reclamation of the land from marshes and pollution. Later on the site was abandoned and it was pillaged by local criminal organizations, and you can see how it has now been restored. In the middle of the vault there is a representation of the thistle, il cardo, that the whole site is named after. This room was dedicated to the goddess of hunting, Diana, because the place was used by the Bourbons for hunting. And the style is classical, because at the time the first excavations in Pompeii had started, so it's a mock Pompeian style. This room was used as a living room and also as a reading room, so the equivalent of the English drawing room, recreational purposes. Our guide Rafael is telling us that there is an underground area that maybe will be open for visits in the future, and it's also part of the aqueduct. The site is in fact one of the points where I Regilagni start from. Regilagni are a waterway that spans more than 80 kilometers across the whole province of Caserta. Tommaso Cestrone is a local hero. He was a farmer, and he was the person who presided over Carditello and guarded it from theft during its darkest hour and darkest time. He did this voluntarily, and so he is now remembered. He passed away in 2014, just before the site was finally acquired by the state and the restoration started. So he was unfortunate, he did not see this happy ending. This is the fresco in the central hall, so the central salon of the royal palace. The fireplaces are made of two marbles, Marmo di Carrara, which is very famous, and Marmo di Mondragone, so locally quarried marble. So at the time, Father Christmas used to come down this very narrow chimney to bring the Bourbons the royal presents. The fresco celebrates Ferdinand, the son of Charles, and his wife Caroline. So they are represented almost as divinities. Ferdinand is on the top with his relatives, and Caroline is just below her with symbols of culture. So almost an allegory of intelligence. Here Caroline is represented holding scales of justice. This oval is where the table used to be in the dining room, and there was a special system designed by a Neapolitan engineer, whereby the table went automatically up and down from the kitchens and came out of the floor almost as if it were magic. The system was reproduced in other royal palaces, including Palermo. This fresco is an unusual representation of Caroline as a peasant. So luckily it was not destroyed by Garibaldi's troops that did in fact erase the fresco of Ferdinand. The two frescoes I just showed you, together with the one on the top, are allegories of summer, springtime and autumn. Unfortunately, nothing is left of the fresco of winter. We are inside the royal chapel, and from this balcony the king used to follow religious service. Service was held at 4 in the morning because the king had to go hunting later on, and the nobles would have been here downstairs, whereas common people would have witnessed the mass or religious service just from outside that door. The light in here is very, very soft, and it's a place of touching beauty. It might be a coincidence, but the vaults are also in the shape of a horseshoe. The marble you saw in the chapel is also from Mondragone and Carrara. So the place is definitely worth visiting. I found the tour very interesting, and you will be astounded at how cheap the visit is. Our ticket was only €3. Interestingly, the horses of this breed, the Persano breed, are used nowadays by the Italian Carabinieri, a police corps. The small temple you can see right in the middle was used by the king to witness parades and parties that he organized, and there's a chamber underneath that was used by the king to spend time with his lovers. This is the end of our visit. Raffaele was our very knowledgeable guide, so thank you very much, Raffaele. He's trying not to laugh because Raffaele is actually a friend of mine, an old friend. So goodbye, Raffaele. See you next time. And I'll encourage as many people as possible to come visit the beautiful place. Goodbye.